Hi, I'm Tyler Hollis, children's book illustrator and publisher. And this is a book I just completed for one of my clients. It's called Grandma Stories, the Quilt, because Sarah has quite a few of them she's going to be doing. Sarah Carswell wrote this about her grandmother. And here I show the grandmother on the front cover. And this is what she did. She made quilts, and it's I had fun doing the watercoloring for the covers. Lot of work. You can see that. But I don't mind doing a lot of extra handwork. It's, to me, if it increases the way the book looks and gets the mood across, that's what I do. Okay, so you can see I've even got the lettering in puffy quilt letters. Okay, now let's start the story. You can see that this is a patch quilt, and since she made so many quilts, what I did was I made different quilts for all the different pages. There's copyright, dedication, and here we go. Here's the inside cover, the author's introduction, where Sarah explains what she's doing with this book. She is using this to honor her mother and donate a portion of it for pancreatic cancer research. She was a cancer victim herself, so this is very important. Okay. She says, this is a story about my grandmother Cora. She lived with my grandfather Roy. And the grandfather built furniture, and the grandmother was an excellent seamstress. You can see the pretty quilt material I did around here. And they spent a lot of time, and when they'd come home, she would bake pies and put things up, and he would work in the garden. And this is their little dachshund. And she would cut out old clothes and remake them, or she decided, recycle them. And here's the pictures of all their children and grandchildren. And he's looking at an album. And the grandmother decided it would be nice to cut the pieces up and make a quilt for their fried children. So the grandpa builds a frame, and she gets all the pieces together and starts laying out the quilt. You can see all my different quilt borders here. And then they framed the quilt on the quilting board, and they started sewing it. And it took a long time because each and every stitch was hand sewn. It was not done on the sewing machine. So they made 5 quilts, one for each of their children: Howard, Sarah, Charles, Gladys, and Don. It was a long time making those. And then they were in looking at the mantelpiece, and they decided they'd make them for their grandchildren, because they needed to get nice and warm on cold nights too. So they spent a long time, and here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 more quilts they made. All different, all beautiful. And Sarah says today that they're in heaven, and she can still feel the warmth and love that was shared when she snuggled underneath the quilt that they made for her. And she says, I remember when she gave me my special quilt. She said to me, if you want to know how much I love you, count the stitches in your quilt, because it took a whole lot of stitches to make that quilt. You can see the embossing and then the stitching of the patches. A lot of love went into all of those quilts. And there's a picture of me in the back with my little write-up. And here's a page here that Sarah had me add, which I think is very interesting. Your very own grandma stories. And there's pages here where the child can write their own stories on. Stories, pictures, whatever. It makes it very personal. And there's Sarah. Okay. So if you want to get this book for your children or grandchildren, which is almost like a hug from a grandparent, letting them know how much they're loved, go to Amazon and put in Grandma Stories, the quilt, or put in the author's name, Sarah Carswell, Carswell, and it will come up, and you can see it's a beautiful book. A lot of thought went into it, a lot of personal history, and the fact that she did it for pancreatic cancer is astounding. So be sure and add this book to your collection. Thank you.